Good morning and thank you everybody for joining us for this Smrt English India E-Summit 2020 live webinar on motivating students in remote classes using Smrt English. This is the first of our webinar series on Smrt English E-Summit 2020 live, and stay tuned for more exciting topics of discussion in the coming days ahead. I see a lot of attendees on the process of joining in. On behalf of all of us in Smrt English, I hope you, your families, and all your colleagues are all safe and well. All of humanity is locked into this invisible and unprecedented pandemic, which has abundantly disrupted the education sector in India. Institutions, students, parents, and all related stakeholders are busy formalizing their renewed short, medium, and long-term strategies to adapt to this sudden shift occurred due to COVID-19. My name is Jim George, Manager India overseeing Smrt English in India, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. I'm excited and delighted to introduce today's presenters, Mr. Zach Taylor and Elena Plummer. Zach is the Chief Marketing Officer at Smrt English, and Elena is the Teacher Trainer at Smrt English. Thanks, Zach and Elena, for joining us for this insightful webinar. Before I hand over the mic to Zach, I'll run through the housekeeping requirements that are needed for today's presentation and the Zoom webinar platform. So what's today's agenda for the webinar? A sudden shift from face-to-face interaction to a virtual interaction does cause a lot of challenges to teachers in schools. Yes, you'll be hearing from Zach and Elena how to overcome these challenges. Also, you'll be going through some common challenges that teachers go through online classes. What are the best available technologies that are involved in making your virtual classes most successful? You'll also hear how Smrt English can be a game changer from all these challenges, and how teachers can catch attraction of students when classes are being taught online from Zach and Elena. As a reminder, everyone is currently muted, and we'll encourage you to type in your questions and comments throughout the presentation in the Q&A session present in the control panel. Later on in the presentation, we'll also have a brief moment for Q&A, at which point you'll also be encouraged to type in your questions. In case you're facing any technical issues, please feel free to drop in the message in the chat box. We will also be having a polling session during this webinar, so all our attendees are requested to be attentive during the presentation. We'll expect your active participation during these polls. This webinar is recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel afterwards. For those who have just joined in, welcome to today's Smrt English India E-Summit 2020 live webinar on motivating students in remote classes using Smrt English. So without further ado, let's kickstart things off by welcoming our presenters, Zach Taylor and Elena Plummer. Zach, over to you.
Thank you, Jim. Hi, good morning to everybody in India. It's a pleasure to be here and be at our first in the series of the Smrt English Summits for India. My name is Zach Taylor. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Smrt English. Smrt English was built about 10 years ago, and its goal was to engage students and motivate them inside the English classroom. Smrt English is a web-based English curriculum meant to replace English textbooks. It is vital that English teachers are in the classroom, guiding students, showing them the lesson plan, getting them to their goals, whatever it might be. We work with institutions from all over the world. As Jim said, the current situation has caught many schools off guard. And it was really lucky that a lot of our schools in China, in Mexico, in Brazil, and the rest of South America were already using Smrt English, because it was a very easy transition when the teachers had to go home and teach English from their houses with their students being in a distance learning situation. There have been many challenges over the last 8-12 weeks. We've been working with schools from private language schools to private tutors, all the way up to institutions or universities that have over 10,000 students that are studying in their houses with their English teachers. I'm really excited to learn more about the challenges that India is going through right now and customizing a perfect solution to be able to enable your teachers to continue the learning process so that the students can continue learning English and achieve whatever their goals might be. If it's to come on shore here to Canada to continue studies, if it's to get a job or a raise in a company in India, whatever it might be, M2 Media and Smrt English are here to help you guys in your classrooms. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today are technology, the environments where people are teaching and where they're learning from, and how to generally motivate students. We're all very used to going to a classroom, going to our school and sitting down and having a teacher instruct us. This is a very disciplined change that we need to do to tell a student, you need to be in front of a computer or at least a phone at 11 a.m. in India, and I'm going to give you a class. And then afterwards, I might just send you some emails with some exercises and things that you need to do on your own. And I know it sounds really simple. We're all at home. We have nothing to do, but it does take some discipline to keep that learning going. And that's where that teacher comes in. If the teacher can engage the students to make the content motivating, it helps bring that student to the learning table so they can continue to learn. Now, the best thing that we can do is make it look nice. The best thing we can have are these nice displays. We can have an interactive website. We can have content that makes a student want to learn. And we can always bring in fun things like videos, current events, whatever's happening in the world. I know that in India, cricket's a big sport. I don't know much about cricket, but I know here in North America, basketball and hockey is just about to start. So as soon as those games go live again, I know our English teachers are going to be bringing that in to get the students excited about learning again. And those are just some of the key points around Smrt English that make it so fun for the students to learn and for the teachers to teach it. We have a full support staff, not only with the M2 Media partner that we have in India, who can support you on the ground. We have a teacher trainer with Elena Palmer, who works with all the teachers around the world, as well as we have sub-teachers that are in the home-based markets in Mexico, China, Brazil, South America, that work locally with the teachers. This is our first presentation for India, so I'm really excited to see an active chat. If you guys have any questions about anything, put it in there. The M2 Media team will be answering it. I'll be in there answering it. And we're going to pass it back and forth between Elena and I and key in on some of the hot points and hopefully learn a lot about the situation in India. We're going to shortly launch a poll to find out what you guys are doing right now in India. I'm not sure if everybody is at home just scanning copies or taking pictures of textbooks and sending it out through WhatsApp groups. If you are, I want to know about that because I think I can help make that a better learning situation for students. If you're just doing phone calls, I want to know about that too. If you're sending smoke signals, whatever it might be, we want to know what your current situation is in India. So I think at that point, we're going to slide over to our slide presentation. And I think, Jim, this would be a good time if we want to launch the poll. I see there's 28-ish people in the group right now. If you want to do it now, or we could wait a couple more minutes and wait for that to fill up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we'll just wait for a little more time because it's increasing. The numbers are increasing. It's come to 20.
Yeah, I see it just bumped up another 10 there. So
joining in. So let's wait for another 5 to 10 minutes so that people will
sure.
join.
Not a problem. We're going to go through a bit of a slideshow, and then we may go into the actual live website. Just so that anybody knows, if you do go to the website that's above me here, smartenglish.com, and you do log in, you won't have full access. You won't have full access until Jim or myself grant that to you. But by all means, you can log in and you can look around, start clicking on things. It is a full English curriculum. It teaches all the way from beginner up to the university pathway program. It has the IELTS and the TOEFL preparations in there as well. There's lots of listening and speaking activities. So there's more than enough content for any English teacher and any language learner to complete whatever they're learning, their goals are. Okay, it's a little bit strange for me not having the feedback from the audience. So this is a new experience for me, being on a full presentation without having a little bit more give from the other side. So I think that's my introduction, the history of SMART, and we can go over to our presentation now, Elena.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice to have everyone here. My name's Elena, and I do all the training with SMART, so we can just jump right into everything here. First slide here, engaging the students in a remote class takes a couple of different features. The first thing that we're going to take a look at on the next slide there is going to be...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So for us, there's a couple of different things. So there's a technical side, and then there's a more structural side of everything when we're talking about teaching students in the remote classroom. And so this first part is really important, that we have a good conferencing tool such as Zoom, or it could be Google Hangouts, it could be Microsoft Teams. There's a lot of things out there. So choosing what's right for you, a learning management system or an LMS system, something that's going to reach the needs of what you need, what your institution needs, and your administration at your institution. And also the course material. It's so important. You see all of our courses there in the back. You see a nice bright color, something interesting, but it has to be crisp and clear. So when we jump into the first one of conferencing tools, what we're going to notice there, on the next slide.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm not sure how the buttons work yet. So.
Oh, no problem. So with conferencing tools, like you can see here that we're using Zoom. For the classroom, Zoom has been one of the most used so far. Reason being, in medium-sized schools and institutions, it is a very user-friendly tool for teachers, for students. It's almost all of these have a video series attached to them where instructors can go and watch step-by-step how to do the main tasks for a teacher. So for a teacher going into the classroom, it's important that you know how to schedule the call, that you know how to share your screen, and how to mute the microphone. Everything else is extras. So those three key things in any of these conferencing tools are going to be really important. Every single one of these that are listed here has a video series on how to do that. For our instructors, we just simply went and had one practice session with another teacher, and we jumped right into online learning and virtual classrooms. Students were very happy to do so. They were excited to do so because they were seeing the instructors do something that they were not so familiar with. And so students get a little excited for that because they see the teachers going out and trying to do something a little bit different. They see the teachers making mistakes sometimes, and that's completely okay. You want to be able to do that with your student because that's making that environment really safe for them. So a couple of things to think about when we're thinking about conferencing tools. Pricing, what works for your institution. Some of them do have a cost, some are free. Access, is it easily accessible on which devices? What devices are your students using? What are you using? Is it something that you can phone in? All of those things. Is it easy to use? A lot of students, maybe it's really important that they know where to find the link and how to find the link. And that's something that we built into our website as well, making it really easy for teachers to post a link of where their virtual class is and when it is. And knowing those features that I mentioned, knowing how to share your screen, making sure that whatever tool you're using does have a share screen feature. If you are having a lecture style class, it's okay if you're just having a group call. That's perfectly fine too. Just know the features of whatever tool you're going to be using and don't be scared to try it out. Students are very, very happy and excited to try all the different tools along with you as well. And scheduling. So make sure that you're able to schedule that call and make sure that you're consistent with how that goes out to your students. So when we go to the next slide,
I don't think sorry, I don't think that you guys are going to come up against this ceiling, but some of those have limits on how many attendees can be there. So if you're giving a lecture of 250 students in a classroom, maybe that's going to be one of those constraints that you might need to investigate a little bit more, and we can help you out, find out your class size, which one of these might match up the best with you.
Absolutely. Great point. Thank you. Learning management system. So in our system, and anyone that you do choose, if you are choosing something online, how's the sign-in process? How's the sign-up? Is it something that's easy to use for the students? Is it clear? Is it organized? Bright colors and things like that. So that's something that we've done on our website, is we made it really seamless for students to log in. They go and click one button, or they can create an account and log in. We have an attendance feature in our platform. If you're looking for something like that, it is something that's really important when we're doing virtual classes, distance styled learning, and even blended learning when you're going from in the classroom out of the classroom, if that has to happen at any time. So having that attendance feature built into the learning management system that you can take into your home and into the virtual world as well is really, really important, where students can also see their own attendance. So that's one thing that in our system that they can do. And it's really intrinsically motivating for students to still see, oh, I was present today, I'm still here. And they can kind of get encouragement from that. And that's what we want to see students getting into class, seeing their friends and seeing who else is present in that class. So really an interesting feature that in a traditional face-to-face class, maybe is something that doesn't get used every day or all the time, but has been really more important here in the virtual world. I do see a raised hand there. I'm not sure who can answer that.
I'm answering a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if that's the raised hand you saw.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Assessment reporting. So it's important that if you have a way to find the scores from students, to be able to report on that, to be able to record results with our platform, whether it's a quiz, an exam, or their attendance features and things, those can be all done in a report as well. Auto marking is something that has become increasingly more popular. And so with a lot of our exercises, exams, and quizzes are all auto marked as well, giving a little bit of reprieve to teachers when we do know that you're home as well. This is a pandemic, and this is not just summer vacation. This is not just everyone's home because you're away from your regular jobs and tasks. Everyone is very overwhelmed. So having a bit more free time to deal with your own personal lives and things, that auto marking can come in really handy. Also, if you have large groups of classes, that's a really key point. And customization. So it's really important that you know what's in there and you can customize, or you have some options with customization as well. Next slide, please. So this is just a nice, clear overview of what our platform looks like. So in the Smrt platform, as a teacher and as a student, they get to see who's in the class. They get to see who's present and highlighted in green. And as a student, I get to see my own personal attendance as well. So as a teacher, you can see here that in my class, I could have 10 students or I could have 50 students in this class. I can select my attendance from last week or just today. I can go back and take a look at that. I can print out a report. So all of those features are really nice and useful, whether it's for the administration, for the teacher, or for the student. There's lots of other learning management tools there, such as your class list and your evaluation, and any other assessment features are listed there as well within Smrt. Course material, this is the big one. So with course material, it's really, really important that it's clear and legible. Zach mentioned in the beginning that it's not just about taking a picture of a book and a page and emailing that to your students or sending that to them on WhatsApp. It's really important, and students are becoming more and more vocal about making sure they're getting value for what they're paying for, what they need to have in schools. And so having material that's clear and legible, that looks good on a screen, that is, I'm really bad for this when I'm making my own material. So as a teacher, teachers are usually very creative. And so as a creative person, sometimes I go a little crazy with my fonts, my sizing, my coloring. And so it gets really distracting to some students. So making sure that you choose something, or you create something, or you have material that is very clear and legible, especially on the screen, and standardized throughout, is very, very helpful to that student, because as a learner, when you're reading something, you have to know where to have your focus, and it can't just be on a fancy font or very bright and sometimes distracting colors. I might think it looks great, but sometimes to a learner, it's very distracting. So clear and legible material is first and foremost very, very important, but also direct student access. Students need to have access to the material. It's very difficult for a student who doesn't have the book or doesn't have the contents and can't print it out and doesn't have access to it at home. So with Smrt, what we've done is made it really accessible, not just to the teacher and not just to the administration, but to the students as well. We all basically are having the same copy of the content, which is really great. And students are able to see what I see, and I can direct them quite easily. Structured content is the next one. So it's really important for that structured content that we have from beginner all the way through to advanced. We have ESP courses, kids and youth, we have elective courses. So, and everything is aligned either to the Common European Framework reference, it is aligned with Canada Languages benchmarks, or the BC curriculum for kids and youth. So everything is important that it's structured, so that you don't have a lot of different teachers just picking and choosing what's there. I think one of the questions that may have been in here is what makes us a little bit different. So we are aligned with Common European Framework, Canada Languages benchmarks, and different material that we have is based on the type of learning style of that age range as well. So kids and youth material is structured a little bit differently than our adult material. And so those kind of things are really important within a curriculum and how it's shown to students, but how it's structured as well. Teacher autonomy is the next one. So for me, my teaching style, I can imagine, is very different than other teachers out there. I know that the teacher in the next classroom next to me, our styles were very, very different, but we could teach the same course and the same material, and we would both have great results. So lots of material in our platform is very user-friendly for a teacher. If I am more grammar focused and I like to use a whiteboard, then I'm able to use different tools on Zoom now. If I have another teacher who is very tech savvy, I'm not necessarily very tech savvy, but if there's another teacher who is very tech savvy, they're able to go out, maybe they can split their screen, share their notes with their students, type out everything really quickly and share that with them. They could post it on their own blog. I'm using Google Classroom myself. So I have different things, and everyone can do things the way that they want to, or the way that's set up by their administration. So if you want to work on one thing with your student group because that's what their needs are, you can do that, and you can extend that material. Another teacher might just use everything on the platform exactly the way that it's laid out, and that's okay too. Last one here is access to resources. One of the reasons why we built our platform in the beginning was to give teachers and instructors access to the same resources. It was very frustrating as a new teacher coming in and not having the same resources and tools that an experienced professor had in the classroom, where they had a library of books and the new instructor was given just one basic textbook for that one class. We have to think about differential learning right now. So there's lots of highs and lows in one classroom or one particular group. So we have to be able to reach everyone, and having access to resources is how that happens. So if you don't have access to your whole school library of course material and different textbooks and different resources, it's very hard to do that in a remote classroom or in a virtual classroom. So with Smrt English, what we do have is a very nice virtual library that is accessible to every teacher, and that you can kind of pick and choose and help those students out, whether they're your highest student in the class that's really excelling working from home, or if it's a student that's really struggling working from home and they need that extra support. So there's something there for everyone as well. So here's the next part, the structural part. So how do we get into this structural part where it's not just about what platform you're using or the tools that you're using and how everything's working. It's also about how everyone's doing. Does everyone feel comfortable? Is your class structure and approach working? And how's everyone feeling with each other when we're online? For me, Like Zach said earlier, I believe sometimes when I don't have the banter back and forth, it's a little bit funny and strange, but it's new and it's kind of exciting. And so I think all of those things are nice and part of the whole structure. So let's get into the wellness. So for student wellness, one of the things that a lot of students are really craving is some structure. So what kind of schedule does your session have? What can the students expect? And this goes right back into that classroom management that you would normally have in your face-to-face class. So how does your class start off? Do you come in 2 or 3 minutes early? So if a student has something to chat about, they have somewhere to go and they know that you're going to be there to chat with them the same way that they would come into your classroom a few minutes early and chit chat with you. Do they know that you're going to go over homework first and then you're going to do maybe a 10 or 15-minute lecture and then go into some exercises, or you're going to break them up into smaller groups or smaller rooms? Things like that, and so that the students know what your schedule is, when you assign homework, how that's assigned, and what the expectation for that is. So that's session schedule. So how does your virtual class look like? What are the expectations for the actual class? Is it arriving 2 minutes ahead of time or exactly on time? What about after class? Is there 5 extra minutes where you can sit and chat or you can give a review? So personally for my class, what I do is I give them a very structured class schedule. Of course, we don't always follow that, just like in a regular face-to-face class. But what we do is I make sure that I give 10 minutes after the session, that I let the students know that every day after the session, I'm going to be staying on for 10 minutes. So if you want to do a review, I'll do that first. And if you just want to chit chat, I'll do that for the next 5 minutes. But that's it. It's 10 or 15 minutes, no longer. And then if you want to do something else, maybe it's in my posted office hours if you have some more questions or some really deeper things that we need to discuss. A daily survey has been very helpful to a lot of students, especially younger students who may not express very well how they're feeling. One of them that I saw was a daily emoji check-in, where the students would just type in an emoji or do a quick two-question survey where, how are you feeling? And it'd just be a list of emojis that they could choose, or if they had any specific questions about health and wellness, they could put those in there. So that was a really nice way to have that quick little check-in with students that was fun for them as well. And that's what this part is. It's about how do we make those little moments that would happen in the classroom naturally, how do we do that virtually? So that before and after class, that meeting is a really important one. So if you are the type of instructor that right now you're struggling as well, perfectly fine. This may not work for you. But if you know that some of your students need a little bit of extra help, maybe before or after, or want to pop in and just maybe talk about their journal or anything like that, that would be a nice little touch. Small group reflections. This is one that's been really popular online as well. So having your student groups, especially if they're teens and older, to be working in their own kind of breakout groups. So having them have their own little pod that can go in and they can chat together and they can give some reflections, whether it's peer editing or they can just do basic reflections on how the week went, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they want to see more of, how they can do better. So there's a lot of things that can be in those small group reflections. And it depends on which type of video conferencing tool you have, or you can break them out and they can just have a phone call with each other. There's lots of options out there. It doesn't have to be always a video call. It could be on a video call where they just turn their camera off, and that's okay too. One thing that's really worked for a lot of university professors out there has been posted office hours. So it's the same way that you would have an office hour in your school, maybe for the hour after school or something. This has been really good for students maybe that are grad students that have some questions, students that are writing essays that have some questions and want to go over some deeper topics with you, or want to do some review or editing and things like that. So those posted office hours could be for things like that, or it could be chatting with parents as well. So making sure you give your students that kind of schedule, that they know where you're at and when you're going to be there, but also it could be for parents as well. But it's everyone's wellness, so that you're not expected to answer every email at every hour of the day, which I know is happening. So if it's happening to you, Thank you for showing up, because I know that you probably have 50 emails and 45 WhatsApp messages from parents and things like that. So we do know that that's there. So your health and wellness is also a part of this. And so making sure that everyone knows the schedule and how you can help each other is important.
Okay, I think, Elena, I had one point I was just going to bring up there.
Sure.
I think I've messed up something on my screen sharing as I was doing that, but I'll bring that back up. I think that for us, we've been doing this now since, say, January, working with all the schools that closed in China. Then we went to North America and South America. And I think that what you were bringing up here about the student wellness is really important, because I think these students are at home and this is throwing a wrench into their plan. Maybe they were going to study this summer and they were planning to go do something in September, if it was work or travel or go and study overseas. And now they might be at home and the one anchor that they have is coming to this really great English class where they can connect with the teacher, where they have this opportunity to kind of feel a little bit normal and realize, okay, I am still learning. I'm still getting towards my goal. It might be a little bit slower and I might have to change my plan, but it's still going to happen. And I think I've seen that from a lot of the universities and colleges that we work with here in Canada. It's about kind of managing those students and giving them that opportunity to express their feelings and guide them like the teachers in the group normally do. I mean, you guys are professionals at doing this. You do it all the time. This is just a little bit of a different situation. Now, on the student wellness, we're going to pause. I believe Jim is going to put out a quick poll just to kind of get an idea what's happening out there. Jim?
Yeah. So it's poll time. So let's see what the questions are. I hope I'm just launching the poll. So I hope all of you are able to view the polls because it's already been launched and it's in progress. So the first one is, how many of you are already giving virtual, remote or online English classes now? So could you just give those numbers? Are you giving or you're not giving? Two options are there. Then coming to the next one, the second question is, when do you expect to return to a face-to-face class? So looking into the current scenario, I know that it is not predictable, but yet these are few options that have been put forward in front of you. That is it below 1 month or below 3 months or below 6 months or between 6 to 12 months? So you can give your whatever the feeling is from interacting with your schools or with your management or whatever is it. Then the third question is, when you return to school, do you expect a reduced class size? So now, since this pandemic is in the process, and then a lot of schools will have to cut short their students or put alternate classes. So what do you see? Do you see that between 3 to 6 months with a reduced class size, or do you see 3 to 6 months with the actual class size? Or do you foresee 6 to 12 months with reduced class size or 6 to 12 months with the actual class size? The fourth question is, do you expect to be 100% face-to-face, or will it be a blended face-to-face and virtual classes together? So what do you see the future? That is, will it be 100% face-to-face, or will it be a blended form wherein there will be little of face-to-face and little of virtual or online or remote classes? And then the fifth question is, do all your students have computers and internet connection? So this is one important thing, because especially at this stage wherein it is what you tell, schools are become desperate there is no other option but to go for remote or online or virtual classes. This may be a big issue that they face with for interacting with the students. So I think nearly 30% of them have voted. I would give another about 1 minute to just wait for others to vote, so that we can get a perspective of what exactly is the current scenario, what you see in the future, and then with that we can speak a little more on the same. Yeah. So nearly 48% of them have started, means they have voted. So let's, Zach, I think we'll just wait for another.
That's okay. I can kill some time here. So I think the one thing about this COVID situation that's really interesting is that we've seen it move. And we were working with China in January. We then came here, and I think India is coming up now. And a lot of my poll questions here that I was asking are things that have happened in the last little while, or that I see that's already happening here in North America or in South America, where people are going back to class, but at 50%, and they're doing blended learning, or they're doing all these different things. And by all means, these questions could be totally off base. If you guys are doing something different, please write them in the Q&A and let us know what's going on. If people are just saying, no, we're staying at home, it's all online or all virtual, or maybe I'm not even using the right terminology. And I've seen that change a lot in the last 3 months as well. In Brazil, they only talk about remote classes. Here in Vancouver in North America, we say virtual classes because the teacher's really involved giving a lot of the class time. Some are more online or the distance learning classes. So please feel free to say something in the chat. I'm in there while Elena's talking, and let us know what the situation is.
Yeah.
61% there, Jim.
Yeah, so I think we can end the polls and we can just see the results. So I'm just ending the poll so we can see the results, and I'm just sharing the results also with all of them so that we can.
Okay. The first one's interesting already. I mean, most people aren't giving virtual classes, but I think you had said that at the beginning when we jumped on, Jim, that you guys are just starting to thinking about what that is. So that's good that we're talking now so we can have some of our experience here.
Yes. So the second one, you can just see the results. So I hope you're able to scroll down and see. So we see that when do you expect to return to a face-to-face class? So we can see that 50% of them have told that it's below 3 months. And a few below 6 months, 25%, 8% of them 6 to 12 months, and 17% of them tell that below 1 month. So I think 3 months would be that ideal time that we can expect that students may go to a face-to-face class. Then the third one, it tells that when you return to school, do you expect a reduced class size? So 38% of them tell that between 3 to 6 months with reduced class size only, they will be seeing the classes happening. And then 29% of them 3 to 6 months with actual class size. 17% each for 6 to 12 months with reduced class size, and 6 to 12 months with actual class size. So again, we can see that between 3 to 6 months with a reduced class size, I think is what would be a ideal future, what we foresee in India. And then the next one is, do you expect to be 100% face-to-face or blended? So we can see that 67% of them have told that the blended form, wherein there would be face-to-face as well as virtual classes, that would be more applicable in the coming days ahead. And the final one, do all the students have computers and internet? So this is a tricky one, wherein we see only 46% of them tell yes, and then 54 tell no. So that would be a challenge.
Yeah, and we did write computers, which maybe they don't have an actual computer, but we've seen students are using it on phones, on iPads, on other types of tablets. I even had a teacher tell me that students were using it on an Xbox or a PlayStation. So the word computer might be a little bit obscure, but that's okay. That's what I kind of expected in those polls there. So that's great. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, sure. Then now I think we can take forward the presentation.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, back to me.
Yeah, to the class approach.
Yes. So with the class approach, this has so much good stuff in it. So as a teacher, I do a lot of flipped classroom, especially now in a virtual class, and especially because of the Smrt platform that I'm using for my content and material. So I'm able to do a flipped classroom because Smrt English has kept their website really accessible. They've kept it really flexible as well. So different types of instructors, whichever way you want to flip the class. For me, I flip my class most of the time, I would say, getting my students to do a review of a grammar topic or a grammar target, watching a short video, and then going into the class, working on an exercise together. And this really depends on how much time you have with your students, what your students' needs are, if you and your institution, how much time you're given for your classes and sessions. A lot of sessions are almost better, shorter chunks of time and material instead of longer 3 or 4 hour daily sessions is sometimes a lot for a lot of students. And it's really hard to share devices that whole time. So if you do shorter classes and shorter, smaller chunks of material, flipping your classroom is a great idea. So your students, especially using the Smrt English platform, they're able to go online, they're able to, even on their cell phone, they're able to do that, they're able to check, go through the material, watch a video, see all fun examples, bright pictures, really colorful, and then they're able to go into your class session and you're able to explain that grammar target again, go through some examples, go through the exercise, whether you do it with them or it's something that they do again then for homework, completely up to you and what you want to focus on in your class, or maybe it's some other skills that you want to focus on. Your class approach could be research-based. So if you have a higher level class, they could be, looking through Smrt English website or other websites, and they could be finding something to use as a research tool. And so that's a good one. So there's a lot of things within our platform specifically where students can go out of the platform and they're looking for something, or they're researching and they're coming back in and comparing that with a partner. And so that's a really good kind of class approach that doesn't have to be everything happening in your online session, but different parts happen at different times. And that keeps it fresh for students so that not every class is the same, that not every day is the same. So it could be week to week. It could be 1 week you do a flipped classroom. If that works really well, keep it going. If your students love it, great. If your students are a bit higher level and they're doing some research for, it could be just the main theme that they're working on, great. If they're doing a research paper and most of your class is just giving each one of them tips and reviewing their work, then it could be smaller sections with each student and different chunks of time for smaller groups of students. That gets into the next one with groups and peer work. So it could be something where instead of having the full class of 20, 25 students, maybe you have shorter amounts of time with smaller groups of students to work on specific skills that they need and areas that they need to work on. So you could have a 15 or 20-minute lecture and then just different time slots for different groups of students. And your students that work really quickly, work really well together, maybe they're a little bit more advanced in your class, they go first, and giving the other students a little bit more time to work on some, whether it's a grammar topic or a speaking topic or a listening perhaps, then they're able to go through that material once or twice. So that group work and peer work is really fun for them. Projects. So especially if you're working with young kids, if you're working with teenagers and things like that, within Smrt, we have a project for every unit, and some of them are so wonderful and they're great to be done at home with parents or on their own. They're very workable for students to kind of read through some instructions on their own. Everything is posted really nicely. Links in, again, with Google Classroom or Class Dojo or anything like that, if you're using those sorts of things. As a teacher, I can make a short little video and I can post that to my Google Classroom, and it can be a short little instruction for my students or for their parents to watch with them. And so that's a nice little thing to do for a project. And again, projects don't have to just be for kids. Great idea for doing it with older students as well, because everyone's looking for something to do. And it could be interviewing someone in your house and translating it. It could be taking a picture of something and sharing that with a partner and writing maybe a paragraph or something about that picture, or a story, and everyone from the class pulls in a different picture and you have to write a story using 5 or 6 of those pictures. There's lots of little group projects that, are really exciting for teachers and for students. And so a lot of times teachers forget how creative they are, and these are kind of moments for you to put those back into the classroom. And self-guided study. So really good for students and those institutions where you might have a shorter chunk of virtual time and you have a longer chunk during the week for students to be doing some self-study. So it could either be self-guided self-study, or it could be teacher-led. So either one of those can be really exciting and totally up to each institution. So whatever your current approach is or whatever you're looking to do or looking to try could still be done in that field. Next one.
Why? Hold on. Sorry, that didn't go right. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so with the flipped classroom or self-study and things like that, within Smrt, we do have embedded grammar videos. So what you'll see in there, if you do take a look around and you click on some things or you ask us for a demo, we can go through this. And basically, we have short little videos on almost every grammar topic, 3 to 4 minutes long with an instructor. These instructors are going over the grammar target. They're going over the rules. They're going over the exceptions to the rules. They're going over 3 or 4 examples. And we do even have some longer videos as well that might be at 1 hour long, going right into lots of different questions and things like that. So these embedded grammar videos work really good for self-directed learning and for those students that might be in your flipped classroom where they're just getting a preview and just watching the short video and getting a little bit of an idea, building up their pre-existing knowledge on a topic, or even just giving themselves a little bit of a review before they go into your class or your session with you. Before we're getting into community. So this is one thing that a lot of people are talking about now, 6, 7, 8 weeks into remote classes. So students, as you know, get bored with everything really, really quickly. So one of the things that's really important that we keep things fresh and exciting. So your first 3 or 4 weeks, if you do start going online, you're going to notice that that's all about building trust with your students, building a rapport with them if they're new students or if they're existing students, getting them comfortable with the environment, getting them comfortable enough to ask questions. And then after those 4 or 5 weeks, you start getting into the students being like, okay, this is just another class. This is just like everything else. Well, you need to keep it fresh. So it's all about bringing in a guest speaker. Same thing that you would do in your traditional classroom from time to time. You would have another student from another class. You would have different teachers pop in. You would have people from the community. And so there's a lot of guest speakers out there. It could be someone who owns their own business popping in on a chat just like this. It could be me. It could be Zach. It could be anyone. So we're virtual now. So all of those things are really doable and they're really fun and exciting for students because they need an authentic audience sometimes. It could be a study group where they have 3 or 4 of students in their class or even of their level from different places that can kind of study together, and they have that little session that they can go to and chat with each other and have a bit of that social time that's really important. It could be a social media page that you run with your class or your class runs for you and with you. So it could be whether it's an Instagram page just for your class and everyone's pets and everyone's cats. That could be fun. It could be something Facebook group where everyone's posting what they think is fun and interesting. It could be using things from the Smrt English Cafe and pulling those into your class where everyone kind of gets to see what everyone is interested in. So any kind of social media connection page is really important. It could be a WhatsApp group. There's a lot of teachers doing that as well. And then we get into kind of interest groups as well, or clubs. So this could be something where, you might have 2 or 3 students that are really focused on their speaking. And so they could create a club where they could meet even 5 minutes after the regular session and have a little chat or a debate even for just 5 or 10 minutes where you're just moderating, where it's not a teachable moment, but it could just be a club. It could be a speaking club at your school. That's now virtual. It could be any type of club. If students are interested in board games, finding out how to play a board game online virtually. Pictionary works really great, by the way. There's a lot of other ones out there that can work really well for you as well. But keeping it interesting for students, it could be a music group, anything that you want. What I used to do first in my virtual class was to ask the students which song they wanted us to start the class with. So it could just be starting the class every day with a song from a different student. It keeps them involved in your class. And that's what's really important, is building that community up in your classroom, even though it's virtual.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things now that's going on, is that it's mandatory that we bring the internet into the classroom. And the internet is such an amazing tool that maybe was left out of classrooms before. Now you can really take it anywhere that you want to go. And that was one of our goals when we built Smrt, was to make students internet knowledgeable so that they could go and find anything that they wanted to do in these research projects. If you want to learn about cars or whatever it might be, it's a total blank slate for whatever the teacher and the class wants to do.
Absolutely. It all builds confidence, and that's our whole goal from students, not just with their English skills, but with their technology skills as well.
Sorry, hold on. It just played slides? No, I know. Sorry, I hit play and not the next. There we go. Oh, this might be our end of our slides.
Yep, that's the last one.
That's the last one. Okay. I was surprised by the last slide already. I wasn't following along on the other slide deck that I'm watching, and it didn't update.
No worries.
Okay, Jim. So we've gone through our slides. This was meant to be a high-level, general presentation of our experience from the last. I guess we're actually really going on about 5 months here of working with different institutions around the world. Of course, we're inviting everybody to contact Jim and M Square Media. We can go into more depth with anybody on a more individual or a private basis. We can log into the website. We can kind of show you around and how that flow really works. This was really meant to show you how to give you some tips about getting your virtual classes going, how to engage those students. And then we can go into, those more fine details. I know one of the questions was about costs of video conferencing software. We can give recommendations on the free ones. We can do it on the paid ones. Of course, every institution may have their own rules and regulations around that too. Most of the time, we've heard every question that possibly could be answered or asked, and we have an answer for it. We do get stumped once in a while, but we're able to pool on our research team and find you guys the answer. So, Jim?
Yeah. So I would request everyone to, in case if you've got any doubts or queries, you can put it in the Q&A session. Since we've seen only one question, I think they've understood most of the things, and this is being our first webinar. They're still getting used to this particular mode, so it's fine. So I think would you like to add in anything further, means some tips, or would you like to give these teachers who are there online on how to make it effective, especially the online classes, which they call it here, of course you can call it remote or the virtual one. So what are the best tips that you give so that they can ensure that if they are catering to 20, 30, 40, 50 students, how they can keep their students motivated?
Absolutely. So great question. So the first one is to form habits with your students. So whether you have 5 students or 50 students in your groups, making sure that you're forming some habits with them and making sure that they know what's expected from those habits. Encourage that social aspect. It's a class. It's not a formal meeting. It's not a webinar. That's some of the things that we have to remember. So typically in a face-to-face class, everyone's really a bit more relaxed than they are in an online meeting. And so one thing for teachers to be reminded of and instructors is that I have to tell myself all the time, relax your shoulders and, bring in kind of a different attitude into that session. Celebrate responses. So any student that's giving you responses and any kind of small progress is great progress. It's very hard to be vulnerable online. So a lot of students who would be normally sitting in the back of the classroom or, kind of hesitant to put up their hand, they may not have their camera on. And for an instructor, you don't see that face-to-face as much if they don't have their cameras on and things like that. So make sure that you really make that any kind of progress at all. Small progress is awesome progress, and make your students feel like that. So celebrate every small victory in the classroom. Every right answer is an awesome answer. And these things will take time for them to gain that confidence in any virtual space. So
I've been frustrated.
An important one. And make sure you're using interactive material. So make sure you're using either Google Docs and they're sharing and they're able to type on the same document at the same time, or they're doing projects together, or there's something fun and interesting to expect from the class. So it could be something as simple as something popular right now is called Zoom the Room. So you give everyone 1 minute to go around the room and find something from the letter A today, or tomorrow it's, the number 3, something that comes in 3, something that's the color blue, and everyone comes and shows something. So even adults love this. So it could be anyone and anything, small little things like that kind of bring in that social aspect back into learning is really important and makes everyone feel safe and everyone kind of have fun. And then you kind of get back into the learning. For me in particular, it's all about connecting with your students, making that connection, having clear targets for them, those clear targets and expectations so that they know this email's coming in every Sunday night, so I know what I have to do for the rest of the week. I know what my teacher expects of me, and I know what time class is. But also be really flexible because what's going to work your first week in online and virtual classes, by next week, something may change. You may have more hours, less hours. So make sure that you're willing to be a little bit flexible as well. So that's one thing that we've learned from everybody out there.
Thank you so much. These points were very helpful, especially to keep these students attentive and to keep them active. These some tips that you have given is very, very helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Zach, I think we'll just play a small video as you just showed, just to give a small brief.
Yep. So this is a video of actually Smrt being used in a face-to-face classroom. It's from our YouTube channel, so you can go to youtube.com/Smrt English and see any of the videos, and I'll just bring it up right here.
So as students arrive in the morning, I'm usually browsing the Smrt Cafe, looking for any interesting topics to discuss with the class. We're using computers in class, but it's important that the class remains very interactive and engaging, with lots of group work and students working together in pairs. Once the students have arrived, I can take attendance in Smrt. If a student arrives late to class, I can easily adjust his or her attendance in Smrt. And once the attendance is adjusted, we can start class and I can engage the students in a discussion based on a topic from the cafe. The cafe is a good source of discussion material because it's current and updated daily. After some class discussion, students can open up the unit that we're on that week and they can start the lesson. And that's how a typical day in my class begins.
So Lit Mobile just sent me this solar wireless battery pack. I'm excited.
Here is it. Pause that and escape out of full screen. And we had one question here in the chat, a question about taking attendance. It is taking attendance in webinar, but I assume you mean taking the attendance inside of the platform. So I've logged into the website. I'm logged in as a teacher. The first thing that I'm just going to show a couple of bits and then we'll get to the attendance question. So right here is the Smrt Cafe. This is populated by our team. It is fun, interesting articles to draw the students back into the curriculum, to do something in English, to explore anything that they might want to in the language. It's completely searchable. So if people are really interested in food, they can look up all the videos and articles we have about food. If they want to do science, they can do science. Whatever it is, it's a nice, safe, clean space where they know they're going to get a video that doesn't have ads, and it's just a good place to explore your language in our environment. As a teacher, my main page that I work from is the classes page. Like most of the teachers in the group, I may teach 3 or 4 different sections, different classes on different days. I'm going to click on my one here, the demo 120, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 9 a.m. When I go inside there, I can click on attendance. Inside the attendance, I can see all the students that are in my class. Now, I'm going to use these 4 people as examples of Jim, Elena, and Vamish. They're just getting into the class. They've joined the call, but they haven't logged in yet. So as they log in, those buttons will all go green, and then I can simply click this take attendance button and submit it. If I've made a mistake, of course, I can go back. Oh, he was late, or, maybe he was actually absent, and I can mark him absent if I need to. Now, what we found is in some schools, they may be teaching 2 classes in the same day. So what we did with that is that if a student attended both of those sessions of that class on the day, they're marked present. If they miss one, they're marked late, which is a 50% score. And if they miss both, obviously they're absent for the day. Jim, I can go through and show more of the live course and show how it's laid out with the grammar, the reading, writing, listening, speaking, and grammar, or we can save that as a little bit of a teaser, and for people who are interested, they can contact you and we can set up a more in-depth demo where we dive into the curriculum.
Yeah, I think we'll keep it as a teaser, and then we'll let them contact us, or we'll have another webinar session which gives a complete detailed description. Unfortunately, sure. Really great points, and I'm sad that we're running out of time. We were able to address only a few of the points, but of course, those who have any points, you can contact me or contact Zach or Elena. Their contact details will be shared with you, all the attendees. So Zach and Elena, would request you to give your closing lines for this webinar.
Absolutely. So I wanted to thank everyone. I know that every moment we have now, whether you're at home or you're still working from home, that people can still be very overwhelmed. So please take care of yourself first and foremost, and take care of your classes, take care of your students, because they're they're expecting it. So make sure that you're connecting with them, that you are giving them some clear targets, and that if you need anything from us, we're also always here for you, and we're excited.
Yeah, I'll comment on that as well. As you know, at first this seems like, oh, we're all working from home and it's all just, you know, peaches and cream, and it's really great. But being at this now for 8 weeks, it's really about that wellness slide we talked about, not only the teacher's wellness, but the students' wellness. It can be really overwhelming. Those students think because you're at home, you're a teacher 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I think that structure around those office hours and having those times for them, obviously to support them, but it's very easy to burn out with this. So again, I don't know the group that we're speaking with necessarily, but you know, talk to us. We have a lot of experience with this. It can go from 1 hour a day up to 3 or 4 hours a day that you're online, and it is tiring sitting talking in this kind of an atmosphere where you don't have that regular interaction. No problem, Mohammed. Happy to answer your question there. Just a question that came in the Q&A. So it was a real pleasure to work with M Square Media, of course. We're happy to be coming into India and to be helping out all the teachers, administrators, all the schools that are there get through this time and hit the ground running when we do go back to whatever the new normal is, and be inside those classes and continue that learning of the English language.
Yeah. So thank you, Zach and Elena, for this insightful presentation and answers to some very interesting questions. So we at Smrt English are super excited to introduce you the Smrt English E-Summit 2020 Live. Would request all of you to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages to get more details. Also visit us on our website, www.smartenglish.com, which is mentioned above Zach's screen. And of course, thank you for participating in today's webinar. We hope to see you again next time. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you so much for being part of this webinar.